Hello, this is Kazumurata. In episode 1, we carried soil in the blazing heat and leveled the ground to make space for the extension. In episode 2, we tried hand-cut joinery and traditional connections, explaining them so even viewers overseas can follow along. And this time, we're finally going to assemble the posts, sill plates and beams we hand-cut in the workshop here on site. It's just a small framing job, only 2 tsubo of floor area. At this point, I honestly thought 2 people could finish it in half a day, no problem. But reality was not that kind. This is actually a drum school, so you'll hear drums now and then. Please just treat it as background music. As you can see, the foundation is a very simple block foundation. We'll start by laying the sill plates on top of this. Using an auto level laser, I first make sure the corners are perfectly square. Then I transfer the layout marks from the sill plates onto the top of the foundation. The foundation is basically level, but there are a few high spots, so I shave the top a little to even out the height. The sill plates are installed with a foundation spacer system lifted 20 mm above the concrete. Using the layout marks on the sill plates, I mark out the positions for the anchor bolts. Then I drill the holes for the anchor bolts with a driver drill. The sill plates are in place for now, and everything is looking good so far. The ground is muddy, so from here on, I'm switching into rubber boot mode.
雨が続きましたので、今日は日曜日ですが、よっちゃんと2人で2坪の増築建てます。
The front side is a slope, so if we set up scaffolding, the soil would just cave in. The roof is low as well, so our strategy is to push through without scaffolding. This turned out to be the start of our little nightmare. I deliberately cut the tenons on the posts a bit tight. That tight fit is what makes the frame strong. With factory pre-cut lumber, everything is looser and goes together much more easily. In Japan, this process of assembling the timber frame is called tatame, the framing work. Right now, the new frame is not connected to the existing house, the main house, at all. We first build it as a separate little house, and only at the end, cut through the wall and tie it into the main house. This joint is called an otoshiari, a sliding dovetail joint where the post drops straight down into place. But because there is already a wall on the other side, this time I decided to fasten it with a fully threaded bolt instead. On the top side of the post, we also preset the bolts in advance. When I'm doing the layout and cutting, I plan the entire order of assembly so that ideally there's no cutting needed on site. Now we tighten the posts down to the sill plates with the bolts we set earlier, but they don't slide into place as smoothly as I'd hoped. Dance to the samba rhythm. It's a line from a famous Japanese song. On a new build, this step would be over in no time, but today we burned a good chunk of time on just one post. Next, we start setting the beams. This is where the real action begins. Now we're going to lift and set 7 pieces at once. the girders, beams, purlins, and the ridge beam. That was the plan anyway. My job is to hold the girder so it doesn't tip over, while Yo-chan uses the big mallet to drive the tenons into the mortises. We missed the mortise on the far left post, so we have to lower everything and start that part again. That's the honest voice of the job site slipping out. Something feels off. This is completely different from how I imagined it would go. I'd love to borrow a cat's paw right about now. 2 cats would be even better. If we drive it in too hard here, it will lock up. Going all in too fast is how you lose this game. Stamina down to about 60%. It's still early, but the outlook is already pretty cloudy. Next, we set the beams onto the girders. This is a house dovetail joint called uire arikake in Japanese. Our height isn't that different, but there's a pretty big weight difference between me and Yo-chan. That weight difference matters. With less body weight, it's harder to drive the joint fully home.
いや、暑いですね。ちょっと足場がやっぱあるのとないのでは大きいですね。低いんですけど。あと外に脚立が立てれません。もう戦場ですね、これは。
Stamina is down to around 20%. We're getting close to the red zone. Yo-chan is cooling off with a blower. I'm very thankful for modern technology.
やろっか。もっと休みたい？大丈夫？
The beams and girders around the perimeter are now all in place. Next, we set the tying beams across the middle. This is like finishing off the skeleton. Because one of the perimeter beams is slightly bent, the house dovetail joint didn't want to slide in smoothly. We use hold-down type brackets and bolts to tie the structural members together firmly.
Okay. いい感じ?
Now we install the purlins that the rafters will sit on. Because the roof has a slope, these sit a bit higher on one side. Finally, we install the ridge beam at the very top. This is the highest point of the house. We somehow got the main frame assembled. This was the first big peak of the day. We don't have much time left, and now we're racing the weather as well.
はい、一応ですね、組み終わりました。いや、なんかすごいあれやったね、やりにくかったね。まあやっぱりね、ちっちゃくても3人おると楽だね。
The weather is starting to look unstable. If we don't hurry, this could stop being funny. From here on, it's crunch time. We want to push all the way through to the roof in one go. To keep the tenons on the posts from pulling out, we fasten them with claw-shaped ties and L-shaped brackets. In my head, I'm thinking, are we still not done yet? Even so, on-site carpentry work is fun. It's tough, but it's really fun. These days, pre-cut framing is standard, so a lot of jobs are just assembly work. But a house you've thought through yourself, cut by hand, and then raised on site is on a whole different level of satisfaction. It's one of those moments when I can quietly feel proud to be a Japanese carpenter. This hold-down corner bracket is really useful in seismic retrofit work too. It has a lot of pulling strength and is very reliable hardware. This tool is a plumb bob. When the scale reads 50, the post is perfectly plumb.
40や今。
Right now, it's at 40, so if we bring it over another 10, the post will be straight, and then we lock it in place with a brace.
今からですね、たるきを打ちます。適当に上げてくれる？
はい。
The rafters are 55mm Douglas fir. I tack them in place from above with temporary nails. Carpenters call this nailing through the top, straight down through the rafter. If we only nail through the top, a typhoon can sometimes rip the entire rafter off the roof. At the eaves, where the wind hits directly, we also use long screws and twist straps. Elsewhere, we drive nails in diagonally from both sides like this. In Japanese, we call this nuigugi, basically toe nailing from both sides. Carpenters sometimes intentionally drive nails or screws in at an angle. By angling them, they resist being pulled out vertically. It's a small trick that makes a big difference. At the junction with the existing eaves, I calculated everything, so we'd still have about a 150mm gap to work in. We're also putting a unit bath into this extension, so I made the roof pitch as shallow as I safely could, so the ceiling would just barely clear and still fit. The rafter installation is complete. Now we cut the rafter tails at the eaves. This is finally where the circular saw gets its moment to shine. All the joinery needed for this framing work was cut by hand in advance. This kind of layout and cutting demands millimeter level accuracy. In modern pre-cut framing, even these rafters come from the factory at the exact finished length, so there's almost no cutting like this on site. Even though we've learned these skills, pre-cut is cheaper and saves labor, so there are very few carpenters now who actually hand-cut an entire house themselves. It has started to rain. We installed the fascia board, called hanakakushi in Japanese. I have to be careful not to slip here. The roof is low, so I probably won't get seriously hurt, but I'd still rather not test it. Next, we installed the barge board, the hafu board. This one isn't a finished decorative piece, so we call it a sut hafu, a sacrificial barge board. Later, we'll wrap this area with sheet metal or siding to finish it off. With the rafters in and the fascia and barge boards installed, this part of the work is complete. The eaves are where the rain drips off the roof, so they soak up a lot of moisture. Because of that, we don't use plywood at the very edge here. Instead, we fasten a solid wood board called hirokobai along the edge. Compared to plywood, it's stronger and helps keep the eaves line straighter and cleaner. Now we start laying the roof sheathing panels. We're getting close to the finish line. Yo-chan is almost out of stamina, but she squeezes out the last of her strength to lift the panels up onto the roof.
もうちょい頑張れよ。いい。ちょっと傘取って。両もくれ。全部もらうわ。
All of these panels were also pre-cut to length from my drawings. The accuracy is good enough to stand up to factory pre-cut work. If you build accurately to the drawings and assemble everything straight, you hardly need any adjustments on site. Most roofs in Japan are sheathed like this with panels. It gives the whole roof diaphragm a lot of lateral strength. But if we talk only about durability, solid wood boards still beat panel products. Older houses often have a lot of gaps, but because they breathe well, moisture doesn't build up and many of them last a long time. Softwood panels don't like getting wet, so we're hurrying to get them all laid before the rain gets worse. We cut just the last row of panels to match the exact on-site dimension. We're using 50mm thick nails and nailing them off firmly at 150mm spacing. The roof sheathing is done. Once we reach this point, the goal finally comes into view. To finish, we lay the asphalt roofing underlayment. All day without scaffolding is tiring, even for me. My stamina gauge is almost completely red. Years ago, 6 carpenters framed this house in a single day. This time the extension is only 2 tsubo, but in the end, it took us just as long. Small doesn't always mean easy. We finally have the structural frame finished, so now we can at least relax about the rain. Next time, we'll build the exterior wall sheathing, add bracing and reinforcement, and frame the floor and ceiling. Then we'll finally cut through the wall and connect this new section to the main house. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and check out the next episode as well.